The chit chat gets up.
All right, so you know how they say on some of the things, do not try this at home? Well, you can try this. But I am gonna bring the recipes afterwards because of my mistake. But Benita will share kind of, I guess, the ingredients out loud because of that. And have fun.
Okay, so, welcome to my home. Thank you very much. We moved in here in September.
Oh, this is your.
This is it, we moved in here in September. Oh, the other ones. Anyway, for a couple, we wanted to coach in the kitchen, and it was a lot of work to do in an already existing house, and I'm old and lazy. And so, and we wanted more room. Hi, there's a chair here, or
No, right here,
one
Marcia,
of
come
those
this way.
chairs.
It'll be easier.
Yeah. Anyway, so we needed more room because we have a granddaughter now, and the other house, we had downsized into the past house, and it really wasn't convenient to have family in. And but now we have a granddaughter, so we wanted a little more room and wanted a gas because I didn't have it in the other house and I missed it. And so here we are. So welcome, and it now kosher kitchen. So when you move in, it's so much easier to do. And
Yes.
thank you to the rabbi who did the koshering and gives me advice as I go along, so I'm always making mistakes. Anyway, we're
So,
gonna.
by the way, I also do my kitchen.
Uh,
I don't want
Which
to
one
feel
was
so
he
good
said,
about
yes, yes, there's others. And I used to teach school, and so I said the reason why there's erasers on pencils is because people make mistakes. That's just. Okay, so we're gonna make 2 recipes today. We're gonna start off with this Freekah recipe. Freekah is a Mediterranean toasted wheat. I ate it in Israel. It's got a very unique taste. It's really, really delicious. And it's a Freekah Pilaf. And as I said, the rabbi will be bringing the recipes in a minute. So we're gonna do that. The ingredients that we're using, I'm not a commercial for Trader Joe's, but I will tell you that I just saw a flyer that Chabad of Fountain Hills is having the chef from Trader Joe's come there and do a cooking demonstration of the different kosher foods that are at Trader Joe's using the ingredients. So are you aware of that, Rabbi? Yes, Chabad of Fountain Hills, because I'm on every cooking. And so they're doing that. So most of my ingredients are from Trader Joe's. Makes life really, really simple. I will tell you that, and I think I mentioned it last time, at Smart and Final, everything that's kosher is marked. So if you look at the price tag and it has a little blue sign that says kosher, so you don't have to start searching on the product itself. The other thing that I want to say about cooking, which is different than baking, adjust your ingredients. If you like a little less onion, if you like a little more garlic, adjust your ingredients to your taste. The recipes that I'm going to use, they call for canola oil. I always use olive oil. The more flavor that you add, the more the flavor your ingredients have, the more flavor you'll have, and you have to add less salt. You have to add less of other spices. And so I'll always use olive oil. The only thing I use flavorless oil for really is olive. And I cook with that. So we're gonna get started with this. I'm gonna go, hopefully you can see what's going on here. I have my oven going. So it says I'm gonna put in a couple of tablespoons, let's see, oil. Couple of tablespoons of oil. I never measure oil. I always find that I'm looking for it when they ask you to put in. So I just don't measure it. I eyeball it. I like to cover the bottom of the pan. It's not by an inch, but as long as everything is covered. When they say 2 tablespoons, to me that's like 2 tablespoons. So your meal will absorb it. Whatever you're cooking will absorb it. So I'm gonna put in kind of 2 tablespoons of oil. Kinda 2 tablespoons of oil, but I wanted to cover the bottom of my pan so that everything I put in there is gonna be, and I use my hands a lot when I cook, so I'm gonna. So, did the Freekah come from? The Freekah came from, now I will tell you that with permission from the rabbi, I could not find Freekah with a hechsher on it. And he did look into it, and it doesn't necessarily mean what according to the kosher website. And so this
So
is
it's a grain that's not king, so like,
right, we're gonna toast it.
but in the store, like when you buy it.
Right.
It would already be flavored or something.
And here it is. Where would you find it? Oh, I go to a Middle Eastern market called Baez Market. So it's at 20th Street and Roosevelt. They also have one, I believe it's 29, it's 27 Haven Northern, which is a little bit bigger.
How about Caspian?
I've never been.
So that's the one next to one with the.
Yeah.
Road.
Yeah.
They have a lot of.
Yeah, so it's interesting because when you get when you work on the Mediterranean things, a lot of things are marked halal, and halal is their version of kosher, it's not our version of kosher. But a lot of things will have a hechsher, grains and things that have not been touched don't. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cook our onion. This is the dairy side of my kitchen. The meat side, well, I'm walking over there a lot. And we're gonna put the onion in there, and what we're gonna wanna do, I'm gonna put some garlic in there as well, and then we're gonna toast the Freekah. We're gonna put 5 cups of water in it, put it in the oven, get it to boil, and then it's going in the oven for 20 minutes. Yes, not much different. So, you know, all of these grains, you wanna wash them off, you wanna go through it, make sure there's no stones in it. It's a small grain. It almost looks like a boulder or a buckwheat, but it's a toasted wheat. It's a cracked toasted wheat. It's stones, you meant like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They come in the lentils and.
Yeah, like when you get and it's not green.
And you don't know, you don't even know it's in there.
Yeah.
I'm used to from India.
So the directions say to, don't let your onions get brown, work them until they're translucent. Gonna add, I always use frozen garlic, it's the easiest. I'll show you, it's the easiest, it's the most convenient, it's from Israel. They also have cilantro and basil. They come in these little, that's 1 clove of garlic, each one is already crushed. It's already crushed.
Where do you get it? What?
Trader Joe's fries, Trader Joe's has some fries, has them, I imagine Safeway has them. And so I use
I
these,
never did.
and it's probably close to Israel, so it's, and I've been buying them for years. They also have cilantro, basil, ginger. Yeah. So here's the cilantro. Yep, and basil.
And it comes out, you ready?
You just push it in. You push it right. It's your ingredients. You're not have to. It's just
So is it like a equivalent to a tablespoon?
So yeah, those are each a tablespoon. And so it makes it much easier. You know, I'm like a no pasta cook. And so the least amount of work I have to do, the better. And it always tastes like there's been a lot of work. So, no, seriously, that's the good news. These are such easy recipes. And it tastes like it's a lot of work, but it's not a lot of work. So I'm gonna put my garlic in. It depends on what I'm making as to whether I defrost it or not. If I'm making soup, if I'm making the spaghetti sauce, if I'm sauteing onions, I'll usually just throw it in frozen. But you'll see with the chicken, because I have it, the chicken marinating, I will defrost them first, and it keeps it fine. So I'm putting that one little, and it's all minced and perfect, and somebody else did the work, and their hands in kitchen smell, not mine. And you can already start to smell it. And then what you wanna do is throw in the Freekah. And we're gonna toast that up. And there's gonna be a really nice aroma that comes from that. We're gonna toast that for a couple of minutes.
Now, you use the pot as opposed to.
Since I have to have 5 cups of water, put it in the oven.
You put the pot in the oven?
Yes. So you need a pot that will.
Accommodate.
Exactly.
It's only 5 cups though.
Yep. Cook that up. That's pretty obvious.
That was a picture though,
And then the rest of the ingredients to go in are a couple of sliced Kalamata olives. I got the kosher ones at Costco, I couldn't find them anywhere else. These are already dry roasted at Trader Joe's, but I am going to toast them up. These are pine nuts. They sell them raw and they sell them dry roasted. Always use it anytime if you're gonna buy nuts, buy the roasted ones, dry roasted. I do that with pine nuts, I do it with my almonds, anything that's already roasted, it brings out so much flavor. But we're gonna toast those up a little bit anyway. So that always brings out the flavor, it brings out the oils, it adds a dimension to your dish of that flavor. We're gonna add golden raisin, we're gonna add the zest and the juice of half of this orange. And that's after everything's cooked, these ingredients go in. Then we're gonna have some parsley, and I showed you last time, I'll show you this time. If those that were in my class, easiest way to do stuff, chop up the parsley. So we're gonna toast this up.
How much work, do you remember what you paid for the pine nuts at Trader Joe's?
And so $9.99. Is that how much they are? They've got like crazy expensive. Understand. They were $32 plus. See, $32.
But I was thinking for like $14 for this ride. So that's a good price.
Yeah.
But the Arabs don't.
And when you use pine nuts, like a tablespoon or 2, so they go bad. Freeze them.
Yeah, I do.
Freeze them. Keep nuts in the freezer.
I did.
So there's.
Now, was the Freekah brown or? For being.
It toasted up. It did 3 to 4 minutes, 5 minutes to toast it. I did a minute or 2 less. But yes, you want to get that toasted, like when you make kasha. It's always, you know what, when you make soup, roast your vegetables first, saute your vegetables in the pot first. If you're adding beans, saute them first. It brings out so much natural flavor. And as I say, that's what you want all that flavor. So a little bit of salt will enhance all of that. But when you use everything raw, it has no flavor. Then you just throw it in and you boil it, and it takes more flavor. So always, it's like an extra step, maybe an extra 5 minutes, but it will make a huge difference in your recipe. So we're gonna bring this up to a boil. Gonna cover it. And then we're gonna put it in the oven for 20 minutes. So that's gonna get going. In the meantime, come over here, I'll start the chicken. I've made this chicken dish so many times, it's so delicious and it's so easy. So. This is the chicken that I use, it's. If you wanna
You're gonna pass around the chicken.
pass around the chicken. That's what I use. So the Hebrew word name for that is Pargiyot. Pargiyot is boneless, skinless, dark meat chicken. So it's the thighs and it's the drumsticks. Thank you. I got that at Misha's European Market on Union Hills and 7th Street. Union Hills and 7th.
Yeah, I've been in.
Yeah.
I've been in.
And that's really, I'll tell you what, you know what, we have a disadvantage here in Phoenix. Because there's really no fresh butchers and it's very, very hard to get decent meat here, I find. He sells some really, I've not seen that name before, the rabbi said that's what they use. And he had just gotten that in. I bought a duck from him a couple weeks ago. It was unbelievable, really, really good. Roast the duck with a bottle of Gold's duck sauce.
Oh, yeah.
There's really saute some bok choy, you've got your Chinese meal. Anyway.
But why don't you just cook that on top of the stove?
Because the recipe tells me to put it in the oven. And, pardon me, you know what, I think that the slow cooking of it allows the flavors of everything that's in there to come out. Whereas once, you know, if you boil it down, boiling it down will also eliminate the moisture a lot faster. And I think it probably just, you know, for those reasons. Yeah, and it doesn't dissipate the taste. So the recipe for the chicken, this is Pargiyot. Recipe when you get it.
I'm gonna email it for sure, and if maybe I'll go now and get it. I'm gonna do
Just
that.
that you marinated.
No, I understand.
Always marinated first, because I want to get
You'd rather
the
do
most
that.
amount of flavor in there. So the ingredients for the Pargiyot, the simplest recipe, the most delicious, are sumac. We use the pomegranate and dates at the end. Aleppo pepper is not a real spicy pepper, but it's a Mediterranean pepper. So I'm showing you everything. All of these I got at the Baez Market. They have a lot of different brands, but not everything has a hechsher, so just so that you know. And I'm not sure, I think it depends on the spices to it, if you need a hechsher or not.
Right.
When you kosher it, when it's kosher. Potatoes, cornstarch, I'm gonna put in, I don't marinate it in the cornstarch. What the cornstarch does is gives a really nice crust. You know, use a lot of cornstarch, so it's not necessarily breaded, but it almost tastes breaded. This is za'atar, which is, again, you know, it's an Israeli blend of different spices and pepper. So, and garlic, 10 garlic cloves. So the easiest thing, yeah, and you can smell it. So the easiest thing is to use the frozen ones, because it really, you don't get a lot of chunks of garlic, and those things tend to burn when you cook. And this is like really all incorporated. So I have, so you can see it here, and what it is, I'm gonna get the pan going
So
with
what
some
did you
oil.
put in there for the marinade?
So everything, I put in the sumac, the Aleppo pepper, the za'atar, and black pepper.
What liquid?
Okay.
The dry.
Oh, what about the molasses?
That goes next. That goes. I actually had to get that at Imperial, so I couldn't find one extra. So I went to Imperial. And so luckily I can read Hebrew, because otherwise it doesn't tell you what it is. But aren't you, because it's like stand there, but and I can read some Hebrew, I can figure it out, but I know what za'atar looks like also. So but
Or
yes.
you ask the old.
Or you ask, you know, do you have za'atar? But yeah, so that's what I found in Imperial.
Amazon.
Yeah.
You get it on Amazon.
At Baez Market. So the recipe called Pargiyot at 20th Street Roosevelt. So it's on 20th Street, south of Roosevelt.
27.
Or 27th Avenue border, right on the corner. Setting the corner of this big shopping center that's on the corner. I find that one a little nice here in the parking lot. So, and I'm not so much, 10 minutes, yeah, 10 minutes for the center. So, let's see, oh, that's boiling, we're gonna cover it and put it in the oven.
It's a nice store.
It's a really nice store.
And did your chicken come frozen or is it?
It's all frozen, so for you. Yeah, that's what I say, we're kind of at a disadvantage here and not being able to buy anything fresh, although I will tell you that Fata Morgana, and you know, Fata Morgana is a kosher restaurant in Scottsdale. It is really outstanding. They do sell meat. They sell fresh meat. They do. They have a menu on the wall, which not a lot of people know. So I'm gonna put this in for 20 minutes.
Do they get it from California?
No idea. No idea.
Same place Misha's gets it from. California is like the distributor, but that meat comes from like Pennsylvania. David Elliott is, or Iowa is for the meat. Sorry, the chicken comes from Pennsylvania.
So I'm gonna start, so here's what's easy about this chicken recipe, and when you taste it, it's so delicious. You cook it 6 minutes on each side, sprinkle on the pomegranate molasses, sprinkle on the meats. So,
Well, we like that.
it's a no punch of meal, it's so interesting. Good. So I'm gonna put in a 1/4 cup of cornstarch again.
Did you set your timer for the 20 minutes?
I did.
Because you were very busy.
Yeah, that's what I was busy doing at the time. Yes. Again, when you are using these ingredients, I probably have a little more chicken than I need, so I'll use a little bit more cornstarch than I need.
Benita, what kind of gas is
It's called, it's a cafe brand, so this house was completely, simply knew I was coming. This house was completely redone before we bought it, they redid it 2 years ago. And so, yeah. So put your cornstarch in. Make sure that all your chicken pieces are covered. And put some oil. It smells, I don't know if you smell the garlic when you open your refrigerator. So all of that has been, I've had it marinating for about an hour and a half maybe. All of that is really soaking into the chicken. And it makes it really, really, really delicious.
I was just saying that we didn't realize, well, a few of us didn't realize that you use cornstarch almost like instead of breadcrumbs,
Yes.
or instead of oatmeal.
Yes.
I always use cornstarch if I need it to thicken with some liquid. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna make a really nice crust. You'll see. I'm gonna get 2 pans going just so we can get it done. And we'll eyeball the oil.
It doesn't transfer.
Benita, can you use chicken breast? I know they're not as tasty.
You know what? You can. The reason why, a lot of dishes use dark meat is because it stays moisture.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a moisture in dark meat that there isn't in
Oh,
white
okay.
meat.
That's right.
White meat cooks, you've got to be really, really careful with white meat. You cook it a minute too long and it's dry. And it's rubbery. And the dark meat portion is always, and most, you'll see a lot of these Mediterranean type recipes, most of them are using the dark meat. So Pargiyot is the name, Pargiyot, specifically Pargiyot means little bird, correct? Okay.
We'll Google it.
We'll Google it. but. Baby chicken.
That's, so maybe that
Yeah.
is the translation.
Baby chicken, but Pargiyot when it's cooking is always the dark meat, it's always the boneless, skinless thighs. So.
Yeah, it means baby chicken.
It's baby chicken. Go to the lot. And you can crowd it in the pan. I always do a little test first to make sure it's gonna sizzle, because the last thing you wanna do is put it in cold oil. All it'll do is absorb the oil, all your ingredient will do is absorb the oil. So here we
Did you
go.
tell us to put a carrot? Weren't you the one that told us to put a carrot in the oil?
No,
So that maybe with your lap.
I take a little water on my hand and have to throw it in the.
no, a lot of people will use water, that you have to step back so that it pop up in your face to burn you. And you're just gonna get your pieces in, make sure they're nice and flat, so that it cooks evenly. It cooks for 6 to 7 minutes per side. That pretty soon, the dog is sleeping, pretty soon he'll smell it, he'll hear it. Yeah, keeping Herbie company for a while.
Herbie might be sleeping too.
It's true. And so they're really nice big pieces, when you make schnitzel, you pound it out. But here you want the meatiness of the piece. I used, 2 packages, the recipe calls for 2.5 pounds. I used about 2 packages, so I, went over a little bit and throwing in my ingredients. And my spices, and then this cooks 57 minutes per side. There we go. Simple, easy, one clean up.
My cookbook with my kids is fast and fabulous.
Not
Not every recipe is fast.
okay, like you wrote, when my son went away to school, my daughter doesn't like, just starting to cook a little bit. But my son, who's just always, like through college, was living in an apartment and on his own and loves to eat. And so I made him a cookbook. And, of all his. And we put it in the tea now. Otherwise, it's not. So yeah, so what, the next thing we're gonna do, we just have to kind of wait for this to be done, this is like 6, 7 minutes per side. You'll see when it's nice and brown and a little toasty, and nice and brown and a little bit toasty, and, have somewhat of a crust on it, while we're waiting. So for those of you, the easiest way to, cut your parsley. Take your knife. Love it. Yep. Have you done it? Yep. It's so easy. What are you talking? Oh, good. Here you go. You get a little bit of the stem, you can cut them out. It's just the easiest way to do it. If you want to, take through, get the stem. You want to dice it up a little bit. That's the easiest way to get it off. And it's done.
And I have to show us one.
Your knife wants to be sharp at everything, you know, there are knife sharpeners. I know there's a great one here, some, I only use it for 48 to, sharpen knives for the restaurant, and he also does, you know, for homemakers. And, boy, there's nothing like that. Nothing like a good sharp knife. I'm so happy to be keeping my house. You know why? I know where everything is. My stuff. Know that it works. Absolutely. You know what? Yeah. Here. So everything is this cafe brand, which is it's so he has a profile brand for a long time, it's a high-end brand, and then now they have cafe, which is their high-end brand. So the refrigerator and the oven and the dishwasher is cafe. So we moved in here, and I was we haven't told our other cafe, but we moved in, and I think we were here a day or two, whatever, and I ran the dishwasher. Nothing got clean. And my dishwasher. Perfect. KitchenAid, excellent. We had those with that. Yeah. We had somebody come and take the old one out, this one, so this is my KitchenAid from my house, I had something that I brought with me. And yeah, and that one is whatever. Here, it's like, whatever, so now I have that same dishwasher, but that was, yeah, so everything was here. Seriously, I think they kind of had me in mind. Yeah. I already got the artist like the dates fitted with a hectare fitted kosher or Trader Joe's. Seriously, Trader Joe's is really a great place. Look up Kabbalah Fountain Hills and forget the date that it's going to be there, but oh, you know what? I think it's February. I don't know. You have a luncheon? Oh, I'm gonna be in Dallas, so. But I'll tell you what it's. But that sounds amazing.
What kind of dates?
Next. It's gonna be, yeah, Wednesday, February 7th. Oh, we have to see your lunch.
I think so.
I have to look. I'm out of town, so. Oh, no, but it's out night, it's from 6:30 to 8:30. Oh, and his name is John Riley. And he's.
What is he now? Yeah,
Well, he's the executive chef of Trader Joe's. I'll tell you, you know what? One of the things, unfortunately, Trader Joe's is a real piece of place to go. But a lot of things already prepared, and then you add them to a recipe, and there's a wonderful, and it's a lot.
Lunch and family. Yeah, lunch and family 7.
And then that, but this is at night, yeah, this is at night. And so unfortunately, you know, none of their frozen prepared foods are kosher. And so I kind of had to readjust. They do have kosher chicken, but I'm talking about the Trader Joe's prepared foods, which is really, everything is very, very homemade tasting. And so it really enhances the recipe. Yeah. Shows, I believe, only has the ginger and the garlic.
Keep it in the refrigerator and frozen all the time.
Yeah, I believe, and it's a different packaging, they're squares rather than these oblong things, it doesn't matter that it's from the same place. But I believe they only have the ginger and the garlic, but the other stuff, fried.
Why would you get oil in the refrigerator?
Why?
Why would you set that?
You know, why does, whatever, it's in the processing, it's pitted, they're already pitted, and so probably the machinery has to be, supervised and kosher and not use anything else that it doesn't touch anything else. So there's that. So it's these days, medjool. So I'll tell you, when we were in Israel last year. When we were in Israel last year, I haven't had the first weekend yet. When we were in Israel last year, we visited a kibbutz, an agricultural kibbutz in the Negev, in the desert. And it's an educational place. People from all over the world come and learn agriculture there. And one of the things that they did there was a tree that was on the land that was about 2,000 years old. I think that there were, when they were building it, they were doing excavating, and they found these seeds, and they cultivated them, and they were about 2,000 years old. And so this kibbutz, this is an agricultural kibbutz, started working on the seeds that they found. They were able to germinate them. They grew a tree that they called a Methuselah, which was the male tree. I didn't know. Male and female, so you learn something new every day. So it was the male tree that they grew. They brought in female trees and they started growing dates from the and it's the male tree that grows the dates. And so they started growing dates for 3,000-year-old dates, and that's what these are. So we were there last year. I'll pass it around. We were there last year. We still eat them, and it was good to eat them. No, I can't eat them. But it's so miraculous what goes on there.
So why did you bring the piece with the male tree only, or what was?
Well, honestly, you know, God said man don't feel awesome. So I guess they knew the female returning. I don't know.
How much food there is?
Uh-huh.
But in the back, they have this part with all the kids and stuff.
Oh, really? Cabbies. Cabbies.
And they have the whole thing about it. And the next time, on the corner of the street, and just they have the trees with things.
Yeah.
And the plants are all over. The field is very well known, they're really defined as not. And they have the romance in the way the movie is available. So they meet up the yes.
Couple weeks ago. The second of Scott. Which was, I don't even know, it was a couple weeks ago. So I really got so used to, it was January 12th was the second of Scott. So, pardon? Oh, it's a week, yeah. It's a week. So, so, I don't know if I can do birthday. Somebody told me to do nothing about a calendar on my birthday. Somebody called me and said, happy birthday. I said, well, no, you're a little early, but thank you. Oh, no, it's. So, we already turned this age. Not really.
Was it a kid? That was birthday, like,
The days, a big, it wasn't a, and they're all significant, it wasn't a mile.
it's a milestone you make it to this age. The milestone everything. I can't get over the days of the
Say that again. It was a while, when it's on his own, he's an independent living. So I will tell you that the, still a little water. I boil, yeah, I could, but. Well, no, because it's now really nice and but it has a really nice aroma. So let me get the recipe and I'll tell you what we're gonna add. And then we'll do the chicken jar, which is excellent. Okay. Good. So we're gonna add a half cup of fine dust. Oh, look, see, I told you, he knows when it's done. Brian. Oh, Peter Brian.
During your zoning.
Yes. How old is he? We adopted him when he was, we probably been 8 years. And, we adopted him when he was, about. Here, Brian. Oh, yeah, he's walking on it. So I have a. He's hoping somebody does. Oh, you know that. My granddaughter was here, my grandfather's 18 months old, and he is so attached to me. And they live in Atlanta, so they're not here a lot, they live here, and he's really, really attached to me. So their last visit, he was sitting on my lap, and he curls up to me, and you know, he nudging me, he wants my attention, and then he went like this to her. And that was all we need to see, so we can't be here when she's here, because I'm not taken, he's very possessive of me. And so, however, and we have a counter seat that hooks onto the counter, and that's where she eats, but more food goes on the floor because she thinks you must all. You missed me. You would have been in heaven. Oh, yeah. Like my dogs when my kids were little. Oh, we had a dog before we had kids. So, well, my daughter Jessica would smash her food on her high chair and then her hands in it. She didn't come and lick it. She'd laugh, and it was the thing. Give the two of them.
Well, my kids hanging vegetables. I had the healthiest dog in the world.
So. These are already toasted. I said I was going to toast them, but I'm not going to. They're already toasted, but you can toast them up in some olive oil. Mix it in.
I would name my new dog Hoover or Bissell.
We're gonna put it in. It says a cup of parsley, but measure up. We're just gonna throw that in and mix it in.
Benita, do you prefer the curly to the flat?
You know what, they're different tastes.
Yeah.
And I really go by what the recipe calls for, so this one is a little bit more bitter. And it'll add a little bit more taste to, you know, because there's a lot of that, of the Freekah in here. And those are that's basically kind of tasteless. So, all these extra ingredients will give it a little extra taste. I already did, I took a couple of Kalamata olive, you don't need to use a lot of salt when you use Kalamata olive. As opposed to regular black olives, gives your recipe a lot more flavor. So be careful when you add salt. I always add, I haven't added the salt yet. I'll add the salt last because these olives will salt it up. Excuse me to mix the Herbie. Because maybe Herbie will eat and he'll get some food. So.
That I have.
That is great. Okay, with the cheese, it's great.
Yeah, it's a, it's a microplane.
Yeah.
So it's a great zester.
Very.
Oh, it's fabulous.
I used to make these sponge cakes and stuff. That's so ridiculous.
Now it's easy.
And
I'm gonna do,
I want a generic one, it's not by the micro.
yeah. the
Yeah, this one
microplane.
is great, I have to say.
And the recipe says a half of an orange, not a huge orange. Like,
And
don't,
you put more ingredients, it was a bigger recipe.
don't make yourself, you know, if you like the taste of orange, yeah. If you don't like the taste of orange, add a little more. Really just depends. These are just the extras. And the rind does, the zest does give it a lot of punch, a lot of flavor. We're also gonna use some as a juice. We'll use half the juice, use half of this. So I'm just gonna do this one. It's the easiest way. I had a little zester. Oh,
Nothing works better than this.
this is the best, the microphone.
Well, they're thicker too, when you have the,
Yes.
that's more for a drink. Where you.
Yes. This looks like easy too. More for lemons, but. Do this just to get it in there. And I took half of an orange, double check. Did it? See, here's comes orange. No, this is all for wasn't it?
What kind of orange was that?
Navel, which is what the recipe calls for. Like, I've tried to be good at this, yeah. And then we're gonna put some raisins. And now I like raisins at home for a quarter cup. I'll get the opens. Golden raisins are much sweeter than the dark raisins. They're a little plumper, they're a little sweeter, so that's a nice dimension. Just throw that in. I'm gonna use yeah, I keep my salt.
That's your kosher salt?
Yeah,
I have trouble with that stuff. If you use what the recipe says, it's always too much.
yeah.
I use it, but it's a.
It looks like a thing of shit.
Yeah, it looks like.
Oh, I know. Okay. Yeah, no, that was the salt. No.
You always use.
And it's
the
always
exact
there.
amount that the recipe says, or do you use less on the salt?
All the salt. I mean, you really measure. I have an idea now what it's gonna taste like.
Yeah, cause
Yeah, I have an idea of what it's gonna taste like. So here we go. So.
Kosher salt.
Pardon?
I had this big kosher salt in markets.
Really? The Morton's kosher salt,
I
box
see it all.
kosher salt,
I see it all.
yeah. It's not the kosher section, but it's always, yeah, it's always on the bottom shelf. If you go into where they have all the
Right.
eggs and the spices are, so you tell, then always on the bottom shelf is the kosher salt. So here's what it looks like. Slide. I'm gonna come around.
There's a recipe in someone's like a passion.
Beautiful, so it's Freekah Pilaf.
Can you use others as well?
You have.
Yeah.
So now with your chicken, which is done. Put the I'll do it on the camera. Put this here. Your chicken pieces are all done, the Zappar's got sesame seeds in it, so it looks really, really pretty. Pomegranate, you can use either molasses or syrup. The syrup isn't as easy to find as the molasses. The recipe is very, very tart. And so when it says 2 tablespoons, use 2 tablespoons because it's really tart. It doesn't look like a lot, but the flavor will really disperse. Yeah, just pour it around. Always has to have a backup. Just go to the last drop. And dates. Yeah, sweetness it. We're gonna mix it up.
You wanna make it?
Why would you make it? Because there's nothing green.
Well, I don't eat the dates.
Oh.
I would cook them that, you know, I mean, I would eat the chicken, but I would not pick out all the other stuff.
Okay. And just turn it over, mix it around. It says to leave it on the cooktop for 30 seconds, but I'm gonna do it right here. It's really quick and easy. Add 1 pan plus the balding
Was
and
the other stuff in the marinade?
Absolutely, everything was in there.
And
The only thing
you
was,
got chopped chives or something?
you know what, those are scallions and that's what it'd be. It's just that's for serving. You want a little bit of onion, I'm happy to put it on there, otherwise, it's just a matter of taste. Some people don't like a raw. With it. So we'll do this. Cutting board. There. What do you think? You look pensive. Are you sure? You have to taste it first. Don't invite anybody for dinner. When you make it.
Otherwise I can't, sometimes you're.
What made you make when we rescued him, so he was at the rescue shelter for 6 months. And nobody wanted him, he was real sick, he was real thin. But I'll tell you what, we walked in there and he came up to me. I went with a girlfriend, and so when I came home, I told my husband the story. I said, "You know, he was there for 6 months." He said, "Nobody wanted him, and you took him." He's such an angel. He's such an angel. So yeah, so we nursed him back to health. He was skinny. He had
tick disease,
Oh,
he had another blood disease, he was a mess. He was a mess.
Was he abused?
But that, I don't know, which it could be why he doesn't like kids. So I don't know.
Did they know how old he was?
They thought around 2.
Oh, that was young, yeah.
I adopted a 7-year-old.
Oh, wow, but he was sick.
This one.
Yeah.
We took a 7. I know.
My husband goes to pay the debt completely. Just put the dog in, it's there for the whole time.
It's such a long, we always think dog, I mean, we have,
How many years I have?
we have 3 dogs that work with 14 years. So a lot of people always have dogs.
There was it, then I had a cocker from the shelter, there was my wife.
I had cockers. Those are all.
Ours was, it's a different